Hello, and welcome aboard to this episode of the We Are Reading One Piece podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to following the entire story of One Piece from beginning to end as we focus on one volume each episode. We keep the discussion spoiler-free for new fans of the series, so this is the perfect place to follow along, whether you're new to the series or just want to revisit the world of One Piece with us. This week, we will be covering Volume 19, Rebellion, which covers chapters 167 through 176. My name is Joel, and I'll be your host. Joining me today, we have Sean.
Hello.
And Evan.
Hello.
All right. So last volume, the crew had an unexpected encounter with Mr. 2, Bon Clay, neither party realizing who the other was. Mr. 2 gladly demonstrated the powers of his clone fruit, changing into the members of the crew present, and to Vivi's surprise, her father, King Nefertari. As the Straw Hats said farewell to Mr. 2, his crew addressed him by name. Seeing potential danger in Mr. 2's ability to transform into them, they wrap their arms in bandages to be able to identify the real crew members, just in case they run into trouble. The crew lands in Alabasta, where they meet Luffy's brother Ace. He's not the only one they run into, as Smoker is here as well. They're able to evade Smoker with Ace's help. Ace gives Luffy a blank piece of paper before continuing on his mission to capture his former crewmate, Blackbeard. After journeying through the desert, the Straw Hats make it to Yuba, only to learn the rebel army, as well as their leader and Vivi's childhood friend Koza, have relocated to Kateria. Now having to go back the way they came to try to stop the army, Luffy makes a stand and convinces Vivi to focus their efforts on taking Crocodile directly at Rainbase. All right, so before we get into the full chapter, we do have the next part of John Goes Dance Paradise, Volume 32, Courtroom Boogie. Fullbody's objection through dance has caught on as the entire courtroom has turned into a dance floor.
Flash mob.
Yeah, so turn of events here. Looks like Fullbody's efforts might be making an impact here. So
I will never get tired of the Japanese gesture of holding two fans up like this, like with words on them, like to express joy or some kind of thing. Or something.
Yeah.
The boogie is contagious, apparently.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes in the next part of the cover story. But for now, let's move on to the next chapter. Chapter 167, Battlefront. As Vivi explains that their destination is Rainbase, Luffy fends off Usopp, who is trying to have a sip of the precious water that Toto was able to extract for him. He doesn't want to waste a single drop. As they continue traveling the desert, Vivi thanks Luffy for his help and says that she owes him. Luffy agrees and says that she should give him a ton of food after he beats Crocodile. At Kateria, a young boy named Kappa tries to convince Koza to let him join the rebels. He shouts at the kid to leave. The soldiers remark that it was unlike him to yell at a kid, but Koza says that he reminds him of himself as a child. He tells the soldiers that once they have enough weapons, they will launch their attack on the capital of Alabarna. Over at Alabarna Palace, Chaka and Pell of the Royal Guard attempt to convince Cobra to retaliate against the rebel attacks, but Cobra tells him that he will not have his own subjects attacked. Instead, they should focus on the cause of the unrest and defeat the one behind the conspiracy. Karu has now returned with Vivi's letter explaining that Crocodile is one behind this. Now knowing who the enemy is, Cobra orders to prepare to attack Crocodile at Rainbase. Operation Utopia commences in 17 hours. Okay, who wants to start off on this one?
I think this was a good chapter to launch us into this volume. I really like Oda's use of map drawing and explaining through diagram and maps. I find that super helpful. And you see it throughout this whole volume.
Yeah.
But I think it's super useful.
Yeah, and that's something that he does a lot, actually. That Oda's.
Yeah, I just think it's a useful tool for storytelling, and I think he does it really well in this chapter and throughout this whole volume. The other thing I was going to mention is we get to see a little more of Koza's personality, and I think he's just a really likable character. Not that we haven't liked him in the past, but I just think it's reaffirming that he's a likable character and isn't some rogue rebel who has questionable intent.
Yeah, I agree. I think we get more in this volume that really builds Koza's character and his motivation. So we'll go over that
Yeah.
in the future. But yeah, I do think Koza is an interesting character here, and I think it's very interesting to see from where he was as a kid to where he is now, and the events that led up to that. Because I mentioned that last week um, that it seemed like there was a big jump. I feel like this volume helps kind of fill in the gaps as to how we got there. Yeah, so we are also introduced to some other characters from the Royal Guard. So we see Pell the Falcon and Chaka the Jackal.
These characters are so cool. So cool. Like
Yeah.
they're displayed on the cover, so you can get some like context of like their color schemes. But Pell is like, I think probably one of my favorite character designs so far. And we'll get into that more as his character develops, but
He's the cooler of the two. I'm sorry.
might be my like new favorite character.
Wow. High praise.
Yeah, high praise. Big fan.
Yeah, he's cool.
We'll get into it later on. But cool,
Yeah.
2 cool characters introduced.
Yeah, and I like these kind of loyal guards that have like their duty to the king. Like they're very devoted.
Yep.
And like to their role. So they take it very seriously. So you get the sense that like they're trustworthy people who would put their lives on the line for the kingdom.
Totally.
Absolutely.
And Sean, how about you? General thoughts?
If I could, yeah, sure. Overall, I would call this, and I say this as I will explain. I'll just say, okay, I would call this a more of a table setting chapter in a way, but it doesn't mean that the table is not laid very well. It doesn't mean that it's not it primarily, this is like, okay, we're going to check in with the rebels, we're going to check in with Luffy, and we're going to show you literal maps as to what is about to happen here.
Yeah.
So it doesn't technically progress stuff outside of characters learning new information. Not a whole lot actually happens, but it works well in whetting your appetite, though not with a lot of water, and unfortunately for Usopp. In fact, the entire thing is very dry, except for Karoo. Karoo gets a good drink.
Yes,
My
Karoo.
God, the intensity of that glug 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 is
so good.
Yeah,
well
I mean,
earned.
well deserved. Karoo has gone through so much shit over the last like several dozen chapters.
Yes, definitely well earned. I'm glad Karoo made it a successful mission.
But yeah, overall, it just it lays the facts out well, and it does so with panache. Panache.
Yeah, and then this is also what lets the like the palace know that Crocodile is behind this. So the so-called hero of Alabasta is actually their enemy. So they, like, I think it was that last it was 2 volumes ago at the very end where we saw Crocodile show up and he saved like the people, and then Cobra was like, we owe him a great debt. So it's kind of like we see here, like that was all staged.
Yeah.
And I also thought it was funny when they were in the desert and Usopp was trying to get a drink of the water, and Luffy's like, "Gum gum, no way!"
Yeah,
Gum gum, no way.
He's stretching like his arms away. So, and he does it again. Give it, no, gum gum, no way. Yeah. Any other thoughts on the chapter before we move on?
Not for me.
I think we were ready to go.
All right, cool. Then the next part of the cover story. Django's Dance Paradise, Volume 33, Acquittal by Feeling the Beat, Full Body Demoted. Full Body has swayed the court to spare Django, though at the expense of his rank. So
it's a worthy trade.
Worth it.
Yeah, Full Body's efforts paid off. He saved his friend. He took a hit in his naval career, but that was he doesn't have to have his friend die. This is actually kind of touching. I'm not gonna lie, because they were enemies. He was actively looking for Django. Yeah, he's a pirate, and they're unlikely friends, and they bonded and they helped each other. And it's a nice little tale.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's been a fun journey with these two.
Okay, let's get on to the journey of the main story with Evan's summary of the next chapter.
All right, chapter 168, Rainbase, the City of Dreams. The Straw Hats finally arrive at Rainbase 1 hour before Operation Utopia is set to commence. Usopp hands Nami a new weapon, the Climate Baton. Sanji states that Nami and Vivi don't need weapons as he, their Prince Charming, will protect them. Zoro mockingly calls Sanji Prince. In Rainbase, Luffy and Usopp stop at a local watering hole where they bump into none other than Smoker and Tashigi. After spewing water in their face, Luffy and Usopp make a run for it. They lead the Marines directly back to the Straw Hats, alerting some Baroque Works cronies in the process. The Straw Hats decide to split up and rendezvous at Rain Dinner's, Crocodile's casino. Smoker chases Luffy while Sanji and Zoro stand their ground, buying time for the rest of the crew. Zoro is confronted by Tashigi but refuses to fight her and flees. As the chase continues, Luffy, Usopp, Nami, and Zoro arrive at the casino, followed closely by Smoker. Crocodile, aware of the situation, is ready to greet his guests. Thoughts?
All right, cool. Yeah, so we get this new weapon that Usopp made for Nami, which we haven't seen in action yet. But I think it's interesting that we get this new device. We'll see how it works eventually. But for right now, we just
With
put
an
a little
interesting
note.
name.
Yeah. I wonder why it's named that. We'll see.
Like, it's an interesting name. Oops, sorry.
Did we see earlier when Nami asked him for this, or?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it must
I
be
think
like
Nami
off
was just like,
screen.
hey, Usopp, did you make that thing I asked you for?
Remember the thing that I definitely said before that wasn't on page? But, all right.
I don't think we saw the request. But it's interesting that it's called a climate baton, where it seemingly is just like a couple pieces of pipe that you can put together in different assortments. He didn't describe anything that would give it reason to be called a climate baton.
I guess we'll see.
I guess we'll see.
Or it might just be like a giant bow staff.
I'm glad that
Yeah.
I'm glad that Zoro shuts down Sanji's nonsense pretty quick afterward, where he's like, "Oh, they don't have to fight." Oh, shut up, you.
Yeah, another instance where Zoro doesn't use Sanji's name and Sanji calls him Zoro.
Yep.
Oh, that is one of the few times. Yes.
Still trending.
Well, Sanji's referred to Zoro a few times, but yeah, Zoro has never used Sanji's name up to this point in the story.
Never.
Not even once. He always finds a way to call him something else.
Yep.
Yeah, so this one I feel like is a little bit more kind of, again, setting the stage for the next few chapters. But we do get the crew over at Rainbase, and we have this altercation with the Navy. So we're getting them involved back in the story here. Smoker is very persistent with trying to get Luffy. So that might not be to his advantage here. We'll see, though.
Their chance meeting was pretty funny.
Yeah.
It was quite well done, yes.
And then Luffy leads them directly back to his crew, which he's done, I feel like, a few volumes in a row now. It's becoming a classic move where he just lures danger directly back to his allies.
Is this the second time that he has encountered Smoker in a eating or drinking establishment and then run from him shortly after realizing what was happening, and then
leads them directly back to Zoro, Nami, and Co.
Yeah, 2 volumes in a row. Can keep the streak going next volume. We'll see.
Smoker does acknowledge that Luffy's got guts in this chase scene, though, which I thought was a cool moment a cool moment of respect between Luffy and Zoro. Or sorry, Luffy and Smoker.
Mm.
Which I thought was cool. They're forming a relationship, the hunter and the hunted.
Who and who?
Smoker and Luffy.
Sorry. Oh yes, those two are great. Yeah, it's Zoro and Tashigi is a bit more disappointing to me in a way. It just feels, I get it. I get why he's like, oh, she looks like Queena, and then he just runs away. But it's like, man, I want to see her get to do anything, and she doesn't get to do anything, and I think that stinks.
I agree. I get why he's running away, but I would love a little more interaction between them to kind of justify why he's so hesitant to fight her, you know? Like, I know, like you just said, it was mentioned that she looks a lot like
Queena
from his past. I would love some reaffirmation of that, or like just like a little more justification on why he runs so quickly. Like, is it?
I think that's about it.
Is it strictly that, or is it? You think that's it?
Yeah, I think that's it.
That's pretty much it, and I think that's just kind of lame. I just wish he would get more to do, but yeah.
So I mean, it's just he doesn't want to fight this person that looks just like his friend, that he has this like tragic like attachment to. Like he gets mad at her like for looking like her. Like she can't even help that, and she doesn't know who this person was. But yeah, I don't think there's really too much more to it than that. It's just he doesn't want to fight somebody that looks like his friend, and it kind of like I think throws him off. It's kind of like an uncanny valley thing, I think, in Zoro's mind. And it's just like weird to him that like this person looks so much like her.
And they had like a brief relationship before they became enemies. You know, like they did have positive, friendly interaction before they found out they were sworn enemies.
Yeah, but for Zoro, I feel like
also playing into his.
I feel like for Zoro, that's probably not really too much of a factor. I think it's solely the Queena thing, because like I feel like Zoro would be able to kind of like shift in a way like where he wouldn't let something stop him, except this thing. This is like the one thing that's like would get in his way.
Yeah, it's got like a hold on him.
Yeah.
We also see Luffy fend off Smoker for the first time using Gum Gum Balloon. He was able to break Smoker's grasp on him when he was running away. Smoker got like an arm around him, and he used Gum Gum Balloon to like defend himself against that. This is the first time we've seen him actively like successfully evade Smoker's attack.
Yeah, and the way he kind of like dissipates the smoke, like you can see it's kind of spreading out. So I think the force of the balloon kind of pushes him away because he's smoky, he's light.
Yeah,
and I think he didn't really expect that. So yeah, that's a good point. That's the first time we have seen Luffy actually be able to get away from Smoker without somebody else intervening. So
yeah, because so far it's just been like, I can't handle this guy, I need to run. Which is how he handled this situation. But when Smoker caught up to him, he was able to evade an attack from Smoker. So
yeah, I don't think I have too much more to add here, though.
Yep.
Same.
Okay, let's move on. Next part of the cover story. Django's Dance Paradise Volume 34, Impossible Friendship. Django thanks Full Body for his help, but Full Body says this is where they part ways, as he cannot remain friends with the pirate.
Damn.
I mean, there's a certain sense of just like, I didn't want you to die, but it's also like, I think it was clear we weren't going to be like buddy for the rest of our lives. Like there's a certain point where it's like, while he was demoted, he didn't quit the Marines, and like he's just like, look, yeah, there is at the end of the day, it's similar to a Luffy Kobe situation in its own kind of twisted way of like, we respect each other, and I wanted to see you safe, but it's also like we have to go on our separate ways now, and know that in the future we may be rivals again in some way. But
yeah, but now they're even. Yeah, they've got each other's back.
Yeah,
and they repay the favor.
Yeah.
And, in another life, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Chapter 169, The Kingdom's Strongest Warrior. Luffy, Nami, Usopp, and Zoro run to Rain Dinner's casino to get away from Smoker and shop for Crocodile to show himself. Just as the staff is about to kick them out, Miss All Sunday arrives and says that they are to be escorted to the VIP room. Not looking to get caught by Smoker, they see no other way out. When met with two paths instead of going to the VIP room, Luffy decides they should go to the hall with the route that says pirates. Because they're pirates. Looks like they chose wrong, as they're now trapped in the cage, along with Smoker. Luffy notices he feels weak as he hangs onto the bars of the cage. Smoker pins him down with his club, which he explains has the same properties of the cage due to the sea prism stone embedded in it, to give it the same energy as the ocean. As Zoro is about to fight Smoker, Crocodile makes his presence known. He tells Smoker that he'll tell the Navy he died bravely fighting Luffy, and is impressed that Luffy has made it to this point. They still need to wait for Vivi to arrive before he proceeds with the plan. Back in the city, as Vivi is surrounded by members of Baroque Works, a falcon armed with machine guns flies in and defends the princess. To Vivi's relief, it's Alabast's greatest warrior, Pell. Pell makes quick work of the agents, but they aren't in the clear yet. Miss All Sunday arrives to take Vivi back to Rain Dinners. Okay, thoughts on this one?
A lot of cool shit.
Some unfortunate situation our heroes have wound up in here.
We get our first introduction to Sea Prism Stone, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. The cage being built with a stone that embodies the qualities of the ocean and therefore makes it impossible for devil fruit users to escape. Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a cool concept that they introduced.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And it makes sense too. With
very cool.
With Smoker explaining that the Navy uses this in their prisons as well, because otherwise they would have no way of keeping devil fruit users trapped.
Very cool. And we see it twice. We also see it in in Smoker's weapon as well. He has it in his staff sword thing, doesn't he?
Yeah, he calls it a club. But yeah, I think it's interesting because he's a devil fruit user himself. So but he's building this. So luckily, he has to be careful with it that somebody doesn't turn against him. But he can use it
He says it's at the.
Yeah, it's just at the very tip.
The very tip of the sword. Yeah.
That's a super cool concept, though.
For sure.
And yeah, like you said, it was cool how they introduced it with Smoker there, able to explain it to the rest of the people, which was perfect.
Yeah. Then Evan, what'd you think
we
of
also get
Pell?
A taste of the tweet. Okay, so Pell's awesome. I think this is my favorite devil fruit so far. The ability to fly and having I don't know if they mention it in this chapter or not, but it's there are only 5. Oh yeah, there are only 5 flying devil fruits. And the tweet fruit falcon type is one of them. This character is so cool. It's like a falcon, but also kind of like a warplane.
Yeah.
Let me see a few different moves that Pell can do in this chapter is really cool.
Yeah, if you thought he was cool before, he's even cooler now with his devil fruit.
Yeah, right? Cool character design, cool devil fruit power. I'm a fan.
He seems like a cool guy.
He does seem like a cool guy. And a
old bird.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, new favorite devil fruit.
And Sean, how about you? Thoughts on this one?
Again, Crocodile is not beating the Bond villain allegations. He is in fact playing into them all the more. As we'll see even more in later chapters. But I love the but we're pirates. We're gonna take the pirate route. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Sure fooled us. That was a clever trap.
No, it wasn't.
What's a VIP anyway?
But I'm right there with you.
Just
with the
good stuff.
with the crocodile totally playing up the Bond villain aspect, and being the scheming type, and waiting for everything to be in place to proceed with the plans. He's waiting for BB to show up. He's not just straight up killing them. He's I'm going to do this convoluted way of killing them. So
Yep. With the super cool lair.
Yeah. Yeah. So, any other
You can
thoughts?
see
on
some of the
one?
machinery too. I love oh, sorry. Some of the detail in that wide shot of Crocodile sitting and like, since you're all going to die together, you might as well be friends or something. You can see the detail of the gears and mechanisms above this like drop down cage thing. I love the.
Oh yeah.
You could have just like, it's an example of Oda putting in detail where it's like you could just put shadows up there and be like whatever, and most people would just brush by it. But that's a cool little bit of detail. Like there's this entire like the idea, the amount of time it must have taken to develop this
Right.
this elaborate cage trap. Not to mention, like, I assume, as Smoker says, like sea prism stone is found only in one place in the ocean. How expensive is it to make even a single, for the world government? Sure, I'm sure they've got the funds, but for Crocodile, yeah, I'm sure he's rich, but like just this cage alone must have cost him a lot of berries. Like
That's a fair point.
So true.
shows you his reach clearly.
Yeah, and I agree.
He spent all the
like.
money in a cage.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that, Evan?
I was just saying, like, not only do you spend all the money on just the cage, but it also retracts like flush into the ceiling, and this like you were saying, this like really cool mechanism.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. Yeah, I appreciate the details here, and it's cool to see like how they ran into this room, and then like the cage lowered down into this room. Like this kind of like just like that little detail explains like how they got from there to here. So I thought that was like a nice little touch. Okay, you guys ready to move on?
Yep.
Ready?
Let's get the next part of the cover story. Django's Dance Paradise, Volume 35, Hypnosis. Just forget about this friendship. 1, 2. To help make the goodbye easier, Django begins to hypnotize full body. Ooh, desperate to go like this far. They must have really hit it off.
Yeah, wow.
This does seem dramatically excessive. That they're like, all right, we can never interact again, or we will just cause constant dance parties wherever we go.
Put a new wanted poster for Django again because he's too dangerous to be dancing around like that. All right, let's get the next summary. So this one's gonna be Evan.
Alrighty. Chapter 170, beginning. Miss All Sunday invites Vivi back to Crocodile's lair. Vivi RSVPs with a quick attack using her peacock slashers, but she's blocked, and All Sunday counters with a fatal blow, punching through Vivi's chest. Pell, enraged and looking to avenge both Igaram and Vivi, launches his attack. His attack is thwarted as he suddenly grows extra arms that bind him. Vivi gasps in horror. Wait, Vivi's still alive? Miss All Sunday reveals that she has eaten the flower devil fruit, which she explains gives her the ability to make her limbs sprout anywhere. Pell is trapped in a chokehold, leaving him defenseless as All Sunday ruthlessly finishes him off. Back at Crocodile's lair, Luffy and co. grow restless as they remain locked in the cage. Vivi enters, and her rage takes over as she charges Crocodile. She sends a peacock string slasher to take off his head, but the attack seems to go through Crocodile as he turns to sand and reappears behind her. She's trapped. At that moment, the clock strikes 7 o'clock and Operation Utopia begins. Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, so this is a pretty exciting chapter. There's kind of a lot going on here.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
A lot happens.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with Sean on this one.
I sure do love the arm power devil fruit thing. It's the one of the I remember. It feels like one of the most creative devil fruits. So far, like the others, there's others that are also very creative, but a lot of them are just like as cool as Pell. I'm sorry, it is Pell, right?
Yeah, Pell.
Pell, as cool as Pell is, he turns into a bird, which is a cool power, but it's also pretty like standard. There's like, okay, he turns into a bird. Luffy is like Mr. Fantastic. Miss All Sunday, or I'm again double checking that is her code name.
Yeah, Miss All
Sorry.
Sunday. Yep.
Yes.
Yes. The ability to sprout arms, your own, or is it any limb? I think it's just her
It
arms.
says limbs.
She says
so.
limbs. I'm done. Okay, you're right. Yes. From any surface, seemingly, I don't know the range precisely, is like the coolest. It's just so wide. It's out there, and I like it a lot.
It is a cool power. I feel like we don't see the full extent of it. We only see a little bit of it, but I mean, she handles Pell very easily with this
Mhm.
ability, which for me was a huge bummer because I really like Pell. I thought Pell was a really cool character. I like the design, the first like flying devil fruit that we've seen, which is really cool. But yeah, All Sunday's power is obvious in this chapter, and when she seemingly stuck her arm through Vivi, I like audibly gasped. I was like freaking out. I was like, no fucking way Vivi dies right here. Like, there's no fucking way. So I was freaking out. But yeah, we saw that was a ruse. So thankfully Vivi's still alive, but I was definitely panicking for a minute there.
Yeah, I think it's just
Definitely
kind of
looked like
goes
she
to
was dead.
show like how powerful this fruit is compared to like Pell, like who we just saw made quick work of everybody else. But Miss All Sunday seems to be like on a different level, and I do think this is like a really creative devil fruit, especially because like this is I feel like showing like outside the box. Like I understand what Sean was saying, whereas like a falcon is just a thing that exists in nature, um, and like we've seen like fire and smoke, like those are things that like exist, and then we see
Mhm.
that this devil fruit is a little more outside the box, where it's like this is an ability to make your arms or like limbs just show up in different places. So that's a little bit like less standard than like just something turning into something else.
Mhm.
So I think it's used creatively here, and as Miss All Sunday says, like power and speed, like they're useless against me. So like they like Pell can't really escape because she can just essentially show up wherever he is and come out right from like his body, and you can't really get away from that. So it's pretty scary in that
So
way.
true. And her taking down Pell was pretty brutal. Like that
Yeah.
whole scene of her finishing him off is pretty gnarly.
It looks like a Mortal Kombat fatality.
Yeah.
It does. That was nasty. It's like, oh snap.
Yeah, this is Pell's nightfall
Yeah, she
moment.
shows. Yeah, brutal. But yeah, a cool show of strength for All Sunday.
Yeah, and just casually,
I'm,
all right,
I'm
now
curious.
we beat Pell. Let's move on. Let's go. Come on, BB. Let's go back
Yeah,
to your
she
friends.
brushed
Well,
them.
okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see how this power is used later on and develops.
But this does go back and answer how her powers worked when we saw her the first time on the ship, and she took Luffy's hat. Remember how it seemed like it might have been some kind of like telekinesis or something. So
That's
we could see
right.
how she was able to do that was because she actually we didn't see it, but like she could make her arm show up, and she was able to grab the hat from Luffy.
Under the hat, I presume, grew it out of his head and just Woo! Wild.
And speaking of Devil Fruit powers, we also see Sir Crocodile flexing his Devil Fruit powers when he evades Vivi's attack.
Yeah, not even so much evade. It's more like he just takes it and it doesn't affect him.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like that was impressive.
And
He
that's pretty
seems to be
cool.
beheaded, but he has actually just turned to sand and evaded the attack. And she chops off the back of the chair, which I thought was a cool detail.
Yeah, which shows like his head would have come right off if it was like anybody else.
Right. Like it shows the power of the attack. Yeah, that was a really cool scene. And then he kind of like reappears behind her.
That's a cool panel.
That is a cool
Very
panel.
cool. He's almost like this like half sand, half human, kind of like amoebic form behind her. And
Yeah.
it's very daunting and powerful. That was a very cool panel.
Yeah, I just like you really get the sense that these villains are in complete control. Like they're not worried about anything right now, and they're just kind of handily taking care of everybody.
It does not seem like a particularly bright spot for heroes at the moment. We are very much in the Empire Strikes Back portion of this saga.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure Han Solo just got frozen in kryptonite. So kryptonite. Oh God, I'm just
Carbonite.
carbonite. I'm just turning my nerd card and killing it right now.
Slip of the tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all know what you meant.
Yeah, not looking good for our heroes, and this is the start. This is just the beginning of their Operation Utopia, or the overall overarching plan.
Yeah, things are just beginning.
So not good.
I do appreciate the few moments of levity in this. Well, there's more than a few. There's some funny bits, but Zoro waking up again. It's morning already. It's still the same day. and then you see in the next panel, he immediately seems to go back to sleep.
Yeah, speaking of,
and then he wakes up again when Vivi arrives. But
yeah, speaking about not being worried.
Yeah,
they're totally goofing off. Goofy's impersonating Sanji.
Oh,
when they first cut to the page.
Yeah, I meant to bring that up. Yeah, because that's also on the cover as well. But yeah,
Yes,
yeah, Luffy's impersonations are
which is hilarious. I was like
top
wondering, top tier. Yeah, I was wondering what that was on the cover. Like having seen the cover before reading and being like, "What is he doing?"
Yeah.
But now it all makes sense. It's quite funny, and it's funny how like lighthearted and like, they're kidding around and joking while locked in a cage in like, Bond villain lair. So like, they're taking it very well.
Yeah, I feel like we just get like those different personalities
Too
within
well.
the crew, where it's like, there's like certain members who don't freak out about like anything, and there's those that freak out about like everything. So and normally Usopp's one of the
Yep.
ones freaking out, but he's like, I think he's just so distracted by Luffy right now. But like Nami over here is like, this is no time to be goofing around. So then she like hits them. But yeah, in a lot of ways, it just like act like immature like in these moments, and it's like part of it is like their personalities, like, oh, like we're gonna get through this, and the other part is like, just kind of lack of awareness, I think.
Mm-hmm. You gotta appreciate that like unwavering optimism, though. Like they're just like, yeah, we'll figure something out. They're like staying optimistic in the face of danger. Or they're just oblivious to how serious the matter is at hand.
Yeah,
I think it's like a mix. Yeah.
One of those, yeah. A mix of both.
Okay, you guys ready to move on?
Ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay. I did actually want to just talk about this SPS question real quick. Was the colorist trap symbol? I just thought it was interesting to how like Oda came up with that symbol. It's basically just like a C dot P, and it just kind of gets morphed into like a circle and like a Kirby T. And that's how he came up with the symbol for colorist trap. So just like it's like a little simple thing, but like it's actually like a neat little detail.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And while we're speaking of SBS, I feel like it's kind of fallen off the wagon for me. Like I enjoyed it in the first few volumes, but like since then I've just kind of like, skimmed through it quickly and usually don't get a lot out of it. But like you said, with it, this one is cool. Like when he explains creative decisions that he's made, or like explaining like interpretations of things. Like I do find those interesting, but a lot of times it's just like, kind of goofy back and forth between him and like very young readers making jokes that really don't make sense. And he just points out that these jokes make no sense. I don't know. But for me, it's become like less and less something I look forward to. Like I feel like in the beginning, I was excited about these like little SBS or like the little end of chapter kind of breaks, but of late, I feel like I've could leave it more than take it.
Yeah, and that's something that like you kind of mentioned like early, like we want to like take the wind out of your sails, but it does kind of devolve
Yeah, I
to this
know.
point
I
where
was
it's
super
like
excited at first.
yeah, it does kind of devolve to this point where it's like a lot of it is not really that important, but there's still some gems here and there.
Yeah.
And when you get those gems, like it's fun. So like there are going to be some like really cool things in the SBS like here and there, but there's a reason why we haven't been talking about it that much, because there's just not really a lot of
Yeah,
things that
that's
are
true.
worth mentioning. But as we go along, yeah, we'll kind of see. Okay,
If there's like particularly important ones, I imagine we'll find them and point them out as we go. Otherwise, we
exactly.
can pretty much just pass it by.
And it's like you said, like with this one, there's just like some hidden gems in there.
Yep.
But I would say, on the whole, it's gone downhill, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's pretty much par for the course at this point.
Which you warned me of.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gave me fair warning for that. So
Okay, let's get the next part of the cover story. Django's Dance Paradise, Volume 36. Stop. Love shock. Female officer. Django and Full Body are distracted by a woman who is a naval officer before the hypnosis is completed. Like the one thing that can get between two friends.
how did you know that was before the hypnosis was completed?
Because he never said Django. Like he said 1, 2, and he never said Django.
Oh, that's true.
Hmm.
I didn't put that together.
Are the other Marines around them like suddenly annoyed and angry? It looks like they're like, well, all of that emotion for nothing now. They're like,
Yeah. I
Yeah.
did not notice that, but yeah, I think you're right. Like,
Well,
wow, like
like-
we're crying for nothing.
the one to the left of Django is just like seems particularly peeved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff.
Okay, let's move on to the next chapter. Chapter 171, Koza, the leader of the rebels. The royal guard begins to panic as they cannot find the king anywhere in the palace. As Chaka contemplates his next move, one of the soldiers announces that the king has been spotted at the port city of Nanohana. Koza was informed about this as well, so he makes his way to stop the king. As he rides his horse, he thinks back on how his father would foolishly have faith in the king. After a year of drought and the rebel army began to gain traction, the people had to abandon Eremalu. Koza confronted the king and demanded that he use the dance powder to end the drought. Cobra refused, telling him it was not the answer and it wouldn't be right to take the reign from other countries. Angrily, Koza said he'll fight back. Now at Nanohana, the king declares that he'll make up for the dance powder incident by sacrificing the corrupt town, ordering it to be burned to the ground. The young boy, Kappa, stands up to the king, accusing him of stealing the reign. In response, Cobra kicks the boy over. Koza arrives and intervenes. Confronting the king once again, he tells him to stop. Cobra refuses. Instead, he admits to drying up the country with dance powder and will proceed with the sacrifice. Furious, Koza shouts at the king for betraying the people who had faith in him as the royal guard holds him back and shoots him. Cobra puts on a crazed grin as a giant ship crashes onto the land carrying weapons. As the town erupts into chaos, Mr. 1 and Miss Doublefinger arrive. Mr. 2, no longer needing to keep up the charade, transforms from Cobra back to his regular body as he and his men disguised as the Royal Army make their getaway. So Operation Utopia is underway, and it looks like it's more like Operation Pandemonia.
Seems like it.
All right, Sean, let's start with you on this one.
I mean, this is like a small little flashback with Koza here that it's an interesting little like you in between it's kind of threading the flashback through the modern, which is you see in stories certainly before. So, but it caught me off guard initially.
Yeah, I feel like Oda typically puts like a black border, in this case like a gray border, to indicate when we're in like a flashback sequence. So I think that helps keep track of the timeline in that way. So this is interspersed with the rest of what's going on in the present as Koza's making his way to Nanohana. He's kind of thinking back on like the instance that kind of led up to like why he felt compelled to create this rebel army, or to join forces there and lead them.
Right. I feel a little annoyed and disappointed with Mr. Tuban Clay for being so cruel and vicious here, but I suppose he is still a member of Baroque Works, no matter how good that momentary friendship was with them.
Yeah.
With the Straw Hats. I get in the chaos. I understand it's not something that people are going to be quite looking forward to, but he seems almost unable to contain his glee. Like shortly after Koza is shot, he immediately goes to this giant smile, and now it's time. And it's like, oh, it's a good thing nobody looked at you right there. Though I suppose they could just be like, I guess King Cobra's always been a maniac and just does this. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, the Mad King.
And then he puts the things back on his head, and then they just start screaming like, "Oh, how do you like my king act?" It's like, okay.
Yeah.
I love that moment that you pointed out when he breaks character. I do love that moment because it's like, you know, I had my suspicion before, and like they definitely alluded to this earlier. Like the seed was planted that he could turn into the king at any time, and so I feel like we all knew it was coming. And so when it came, I was like ready for it. But like when he broke character, I think that was like a cool way of just confirming that he is in fact Mr. 2.
Yeah, and I think that's for the reader, and that panel specifically lets the reader know that something's amiss here, because that's something that we'd expect from the character.
Yeah, and it's like the classic Mr. 2 face with the big smile and the raised eyebrow. Yeah. Like they've established that as like his look. So yeah, I thought that was well done. You know, saw it coming, but I still think it was like well portrayed.
Yeah, and like the fact that we did see Mr. 2 transform into Cobra previously, like we know it's one of the transformations he had access to. Now we see why he had that and what their plan was, and it was really diabolical to come in, make the king look even worse, and set like everything into motion, and create this panic, and they drop this ship from the port right into the land, causing more destruction. And now they're giving people weapons so they can fight back, to make things even crazier and more dangerous for people. There's going to be bloodshed.
Whose ship did they crash into port? Because it doesn't look like a marine ship.
So I believe it's,
and it doesn't look like on Clay's ship. Baroque Works.
Yeah, I don't know if if it belongs to like a certain member of Baroque Works. Like what we've seen, Crocodile seems to probably be independently wealthy, so he could have bought the ship. Like we don't know the circumstances, but Baroque Works essentially had this ship planned with all the weapons on it, so they can crash it in and kind of distribute the weapons to whoever wants them, really. But mainly the rebel army, because the main thing was like Koza was saying, once we get enough weapons, we can actually fight back. We can commence our assault. We can go on the offensive, but they didn't have enough weapons to arm everybody, so they couldn't really go all out yet.
Right. How serendipitous.
Yeah, what did you guys think of this conversation with Koza and the fake Cobra?
I mean, it's like he keeps trying to be like, look, I'm trying to give you an out here, dude. What's going on? And then fake Cobra just keeps like, no, I want to be evil, though. I want to be a huge I'd like to be a huge scumbag, though. And it's just like, oh my God, you're lying on thick.
So I think this kind of helps answer that question. Like, how would Koza get to this point? And this is essentially kind of like confirming like why Koza would go to this extreme. He's lost faith in the king, and he feels his dad was foolish for so believing in the king, and this for him is like a confirmation that because when he had the conversation about like the dance powder, that was already kind of like putting him like over the edge, because he still believed that the king was using the dance powder himself, and he thinks that he's like holding out on the country. And then when given the chance to kind of clear his name, Cobra here just doubles down and says, "Yeah, I did it, and now to make up for it, I'm going to sacrifice people." So like, so to
What
Koza,
is the
this was like
even
an insult.
twisted logic here of I'm going?
What is the twisted logic trying to be done here with the I'm going to sacrifice this? Like, what's the end goal here? What is the like? How is like? Is it just I'm going to be a cruel person now, or is there like some reason that will bring the water back, or like? I
think
understand
it's
it's
mostly
Mr.
that.
Tubon Clay being okay. All right.
Yeah, I think it's just like what's like the most messed up thing we can make Cobra do. Like, let's just have him go and sacrifice his people to kind of like atone for like this kind of like sin they created. It feels very biblical in that sense. Like, hey, let's we have to like sacrifice these people to make up for what we did. Instead of sacrificing himself, like he's gonna sacrifice the people like as like a blood sacrifice is like I guess some way of making up for it. But
I think it makes no sense, and I don't think that's bad. I just think it's just like this is just. It feels almost like Crocodile is just like, yeah, just go be a huge scumbag.
right, and I think
Clay.
that's basically what it is.
Like there's no, I have no, this doesn't make any sense even from even from a twisted logic point of view. Like there's no, it's just like I don't get it. You just
And that's why I think it's frustrating for Koza and the people.
Yeah.
Was like, why would you do this? Like, what did we do to deserve this? Like, we're your people. And like to them, again, it's not something that makes sense, so that they can't really comprehend it. And it's just
Yeah.
like it's a bigger insult to the people that did believe in him because he would do something so terrible now.
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
All right. Any other thoughts before we move on?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, so let's wrap up the cover story. Django's Dance Paradise final story. Dance with the Peon Pals. Django and Full Body celebrate as they can continue their friendship as chore boys in the Marines.
Okay, never mind. My apologies for my earlier like, oh, we have to live separate lives. No, Django's like, I like this dude too much. I'm just gonna. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, he had a clean
Must be
slate.
quite a babe. Must be quite a babe for him to switch from pirate to Marine.
And
Also, do you see the cameos in this?
I was just gonna mention we had a little cameo from our familiar friends here.
Looking chiseled.
Yeah, so we see Kobe, Hamepo, and Garp passing by.
Yeah, and the whole group's getting together.
Yeah. Side stories overlapping. Look at this.
It's all connected.
It's all connected.
And I hope we learn more about that Garp guy soon. I wonder if we will.
Garp.
Probably never see him again.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Okay, let's get Evan's summary for the next chapter.
All right. Chapter 172, Rebellion. Nanohana is plunged into chaos as Mr. 1 and Miss Doublefinger go to meet Mr. 2 at the edge of town. On his way, Mr. 2 is spotted by a young boy, Kappa, who realizes that the king is actually an imposter. As Kappa goes to alert the others, he runs into Mr. 1 and Miss Doublefinger, who beat him to a pulp to keep their secret guarded. A wounded Koza finds Kappa and, now enraged, calls for an all-out assault on Albarna. Meanwhile, at the king's palace, Chaka refuses to believe the news of King Cobra's appearance in Nanohana. Confronted with a difficult decision, and with the king missing, Chaka decides to defend Alabasta and meet the rebels head-on. In Rainbase, Crocodile gloats as his plan takes form to the great dismay of Vivi. Crocodile then tells Vivi that he and Miss All Sunday are heading to Alubara to see her father, King Cobra. After showing her the key to the cage that holds her friends and Smoker captive, he gives her the option to go with them to the capital or stay and save her friends. Then throws the key down a trapdoor into a pit of Bananagators.
Freaking gators with freaking
Frickin'
bananas.
Or are they bananas with gators attached to them?
It seems like it might be that case. Yeah.
That is a question, isn't it?
That is brought up.
Yeah, on that note, in the typical Luffy fashion, we've talked about how in the past, like Luffy seems to see like the thing that you would think is like the secondary thing as being like the main thing. So
Yeah.
like with these like combinations of like animals, Luffy sees the bananas and thinks that like they're attached to that the gays are attached to the bananas, not the other way around.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
Which I think we'll probably get more of that in the next chapter.
Yeah, I think so. See Bunchy again. Or Bunchy.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think we need a side
that's just
story
Luffy's
of
getaway with
Bunchy.
Broke Works.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we see how the kid Kappa he realizes the truth. So he unfortunately saw something that he wasn't meant to see, and they have like Broke Works has no mercy for this kid, which is pretty brutal.
Pretty brutal. They beat this kid within a frog's hair of death. And things are escalating.
Yeah, and this further escalates the situation because like we already saw things like where it was like basically a powder keg that was already like exploding, and now it's just like we're adding like more fuel to that fire,
Yeah.
and it's like everybody's just playing right into the plan as Crocodile predicted, because like this kind of actually plays even better because now Koza is like over this like beating up kid, and he's like, this is like this battle is bringing like this to. This is like what's become our kingdom, and then they notice that like the ship had all those weapons on it. So yeah, now like Koza's like, oh yeah, this is divine providence. This is like, we're in the right here. This is like everything falling like this is basically our turning point now. So like things are falling into our favor. We can fight back, not realizing what actually happened here.
So I was right that Bon Clay being too quick to abandon his disguise and break character did bite him in the ass in a way.
Yeah.
Um,
but at this point, the damage has already been done.
Yeah, damage is done. Yes.
I think Sir Crocodile makes a good play for #1 villain in our rankings so far, as he literally breaks down all of the evil deeds he's done over the years in order to he literally like breaks it down for us. So I think he's making a solid attempt at first place.
He's really going for it.
And then he throws the key down, like classic Bond villain, like we were saying, like you have a choice. You can either come with me or save your friends, like classic.
Yeah, basically gives her an impossible choice.
Yeah, impossible choice, exactly.
Some lunatic will come along with a sadistic choice. Let die the friends you love or suffer the innocent civilian. We are who we chose to be. Okay, sorry, I'll stop doing Willem Dafoe. Joel gets me. I will say that I do think it is very clear at this point that was not like an art thing. Mr. One's hands, his fingers really are that weird and long. Like it is very clear. Like in his I can hardly wait. Like his I think that's his thumb. Maybe. I could be wrong.
Oh, were you seeing this?
Oh yeah.
Like, is that his thumb and the way his hand looks there?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's his thumb, and that is not a human thumb. I'm going to tell you right now. That at least a human thumb that isn't been like stretched out like a friggin' Junji Ito manga. Like that is terrifying. And I will say his partner, I'm sorry, there's so many names that I forgot.
Doublefinger
Doublefinger is also equally anatomically impossible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
To an honestly an even greater degree. To the point that I'm just like, man, I hate both of you. Like you you freaking weirdo assholes. Like
Yeah. Hard to
and
look
then they beat them, then they just like just absolutely just break all this kid's bones. Like so yeah, oof, man, real awful people here.
Yeah. Very hateable.
Yeah, we actually see like towards the beginning of the chapter, the way that she walks, like her hips actually kind of like swing like back and
Yes,
forth, almost
it's
like a
lot.
pendulum. Yeah.
I've got to meet Mr. Two at the edge of the town. It's like, all right, pack it up, lady. What are you? I appreciate that Zoro's like, man, even amongst all these scoundrels that we've met, you are particularly the most scummiest. Just like, I also appreciate the concept that Vivi is going to crawl her way all the way to Alabama on this chair. Like, it's probably an exaggeration, but I like to imagine she is really going to just waddle her way all the way across the desert. Like,
That is a great moment for Vivi.
Yeah,
it is.
Showing
You gotta
her
appreciate-
character.
Yeah.
Like, she's not ready to give up even in these dire circumstances.
It is really, really demonstrative of her spirit. Yes.
So you guys ready to move on?
I'm ready to move on.
Yep. To the best named chapter so far.
Bananagator.
Yeah, chapter 173, Bananagator. Crocodile taunts Vivi, telling her she may have a chance to stop the fighting between the royal army and the rebels if she leaves now, but she would have to leave her friends behind. He drops a key into the Bananagator's den and gives her the choice. Not much of a choice as one of the Bananagators eats the key. Crocodile begins to take his leave with Miss All Sunday and tells them that the room is about to start filling up with water. He mocks the people of Alabaster for making things so easy for him, like that man who keeps digging at Yuba. Crocodile admits that he's been continually causing the sandstorms there that have been plaguing the village. He laughs as this makes Luffy and Vivi livid. As they start to walk off, Vivi prepares to attack him, but realizes it's no use and falls to her knees. Luffy shouts for her to do something so they can get out and beat Crocodile. One of the Bananagators comes up as the rest begin to line up for mealtime. Vivi tries to fight back, but is overpowered by the creature. Suddenly, Crocodile's transparent snail begins to ring. All right, Evan, let's get your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, we leave off with Vivi trying to make an impossible decision. And then they reference Toto, which was like a slap in the face because it was like, oh, I didn't tell you about this other super evil thing I've been doing. Like I left that out of my evil monologue earlier.
You don't know how evil
like,
I can
causing
get.
These sandstorms like a total asshole over here. So that was rude.
To put it mildly, yeah.
Yeah,
he's just like it's just like a game to him. Like he's just toying with this one guy over and over again because it amuses him.
Yeah, so messed up, which enrages the whole crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not looking good. The Bananagators are lining up and making their entrance, so things are looking bleak. They're absolutely massive. Like I feel like this chapter shows just the scale of the Bananagators coming in.
Yeah.
But that ending leaves us with the tiniest bit of hope that Zoro is still fronting Restaurant Le Crab. Not Zoro, Sanji. Sanji is still
yes.
Well, maybe yeah. And he is ready to take new takeout orders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such
a great final sell. This is Restaurant Le Crab.
The Crocodile's like, the voice, I've heard it before.
Yeah.
It's the voice that haunts my dreams.
Baby transponder stale, not for international calls.
Yeah, I love they distinguish that. Good to know.
It really is just like this cheap cell phone.
Yeah.
There's limited data. It's like you have like 500 minutes on this one.
Yeah.
And they do break that down in the SBS. So that was
A better
Um,
SBS than
yeah,
usual.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are like the nice like SBS questions that
Yeah,
they give you like the breakdown of things.
yeah, those are good little nuggets. But I would
Yeah.
say on a whole,
I even like the previous question where he's like, "Hey, that courier, he matured. his shirt changes.
oh
what it
yeah,
says.
Because it goes from-
Full-fledged, half-fledged.
Yeah. That's one thing too. Is a lot of times like Oda or maybe like his assistants will put little like messages on shirts of people in the background, and people will write in and point them out, and Oda will explain them, or like yeah. So those are fun little things too. It's just like a little kind of seems like a little game that they like do in the art.
agreed.
But we do kind of up the stakes here even more. So yeah, things are still ramping up. So again, like we see, it seemed like things were so hopeless before, and it just keeps piling on because now the only key that they had is gone. It was eaten by a Bananagator, and they don't know which one ate it. And the room is filling up with water as well, so they have 1 hour. So they have a time limit now to get through all the Bananagators and try to find the right key. They have to go into the Bananagator to get it. So
A key that is like the size of like a credit card. Like
yeah.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
Yeah, so it's nice that this chapter, after all of those like even more things being piled on, like you guys said, like there's like a ray of hope at the end of the chapter because there's a member of the
Sanji is
crew that
still
hasn't accounted
our
for.
men on the outside. Yeah.
That's right. All hope is not lost.
Open of next chapter. Sanji faints, looking at Vivi going into the cage. Like, okay, well, now we're all screwed.
Sanji gets distracted by a few women.
Yeah,
and
right.
just yeah, this is just a great evil gloating chapter overall. Like,
Yeah.
that image of Crocodile doing the swoosh when he like turns into sand like that is a really great art.
That's also another piece of art that they use on one of the cards and the card
Oh,
game.
of course.
One of the characters.
Course.
So good choices.
That's a cool sell.
Is Crocodile a strong card in the card game? Mr. Pirate King Codex?
In the right decks. Crocodile, I feel like isn't as strong as you want him to be, but he has potential if you play him the right way.
All right, good.
If you were only playing with timeline up to this point, he would definitely be the strongest, I think. Like, I think he's the most formidable opponent that we've seen so far in this series, and we haven't really seen him fight that much.
True. Yeah, so he could be a complete pushover. We don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
He could be, but I don't know.
Now we did see him kind of wreck some of those weak pirates though.
Yeah.
So, and he's one of the 7 wards of the sea. So I mean, he's probably pretty formidable.
Yeah. Seems to be.
But I feel like part of his strength, regardless of any battle prowess he may have, I think we're seeing his other strength is just also like his scheming here as well. Because I think that's something that really sets him apart from what we've seen so far in the series is the amount of planning that's actually gone into like this scheme is beyond even like Kuro. You know, we like he was said to be the man of like 1,000 plans or whatever. I feel like Crocodile kind of like also kind of like puts him to shame. Like Kuro was patient, like waiting for 3 years, but Crocodile seems to also have been patient too, kind of biding his time, but like actually like plotting all these things and putting all these pieces into motion. There's a lot of moving parts that could go wrong, and essentially everything's kind of going his way right now.
Yeah. And it's like a larger scale than we've seen too. Like the scale of his scheming is like he's taking over like a whole country, you know.
Yeah, not just one person's mansion. He's taking over.
Yeah, not just like one person's treasure. He's like
one sick teenager's mansion.
Yeah.
And he didn't have to disguise himself as a shitty freaking butler and do the chores for 3 years. He's been living it up large as the hero of the country.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He's got you beat, Kuro.
Yeah, we'll see if Crocodile beats out Kuro on the villain rankings when this arc is over.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Anything else on this one?
I'm ready to come on. I'm ready to put in my order to Restaurant Le Crab.
Okay. Let's get on to Evan's summary.
All right. Chapter 174, Mr. Prince. As Sanji, aka the chef de cuisine at Restaurant Le Crab, aka Mr. Prince, speaks to Sir Crocodile via transponder snail, he is audibly taken captive. This is awful news as he is captured for his captured crewmates, but intrigues Crocodile as he goes to meet this mystery member of the Straw Hats. Vivi uses the distraction to attempt her getaway, but is caught by Crocodile's disembodied hook and hurled to the ground. As Crocodile leaves the room, now slowly filling with water, he promises to return with the corpse of Mr. Prince. Vivi narrowly escapes the Bananagator and assures the Straw Hats she is not abandoning them, but going to find help. Outside, Crocodile quickly finds out he has been hoodwinked. He spots who he believes to be Mr. Prince fleeing the scene and gives chase. At that moment, the bridge to the casino collapses. Vivi panics, believing she is trapped when she runs into Sanji, chilling at the slot machine. He informs her that Chopper is distracting Crocodile and this is all part of the plan. Sanji asks Vivi to lead the way as they rush to save their crewmates.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. Thoughts on this one?
I feel bad that I forgot that also Chopper is out there. As someone who's proponent of Chopper being a badass, I also like, oh right, like even Nami's like, oh yeah, and Chopper's out there too. It's like, god damn it, poor Chopper.
Yeah, but he was kind of accounted for by Brokeworks. Like they are aware of him. They just think he's a pet.
They think he's a pet.
They don't really know his whole deal.
Yeah, it's funny seeing him working with the team though. This is the chapter where he's like, I'm helpful. I'm being helpful. He's like, look at me doing stuff. Maybe it's not this chapter, but it happens in this volume, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a good decoy because he can change his form. And I think we see him slinking around in this chapter. Maybe it's the next one. No, it's the next chapter. Never mind.
I do appreciate Sanji getting on Crocodile's nerves.
Yeah. And adopting Mr. Prince, which I thought was funny because, like, he kind of was given that name earlier by Zoro, like, begrudgingly, and was kind of, like, took offense. Now he's, like, embracing it as his, like, code name.
Yeah. Yeah, that is pretty fitting for you, isn't it? Prince Charming.
And, yeah. And Luffy was ready to, like, scream out his name if Usopp didn't cover it. So oblivious.
But yeah, it does kind of seem like Sanji has kind of gotten on Crocodile's nerves because he's been like the one thing so far that we've seen kind of like went up him. Because Crocodile didn't think that anybody survived Little Garden because Sanji, posing as Mr. 3, unknowingly gave the false information. So Crocodile was under the assumption that they were all taken care of. So Sanji's the one that was responsible for him kind of like not seeing like this this element that hasn't been accounted for. So now like Crocodile's kind of like shifting a little bit because of like that. So he's like, it's so fine. We got all the Straw Hats here, right? It's like, oh wait, hold on. Is there more that we didn't know about? Like, I thought we got everybody accounted for now. So this is like kind of throwing Crocodile off his game, and it's kind of like making him, I think, angrier that like something like this is kind of like interfering with his plot.
Yeah, quick thinking by Sanji. And also for me, like the more that we see Sir Crocodile's powers, it reminds me a lot of Smoker's powers, and just like the manner in which he can kind of like flow between sand and solid forms, kind of the same way Smoker can do smoke and like physical form.
Or like Ace, maybe. Like with
what's that?
Or maybe like Ace with the fire.
Or like Ace with the fire, yeah, kind of like, yeah, like different elements. definitely remind me of like that sort of like devil fruit user.
Yeah.
We see maybe a bit of friction between Miss All Sunday and Crocodile here for maybe one of the first times where she's like, "Why not just forget about this? Like, this is not our priority right now. Like, we got to focus on the overall mission here." He's like, "No, I will not be made a fool of," and he like runs off a bit more.
Yeah, that comment didn't age too well.
Yes. Well, I will not be made a fool of. I will be immediately made a fool of.
Yeah. Yeah, and kind of to the point I was making a few minutes ago, like, yeah, it seems like this is kind of throwing him off his game. Like, he's kind of losing his cool like, a little bit. It's like the first time we've seen some kind of like get to him a little.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's kind of playing into it. Miss All Sunday is trying to keep him kind of like on track, and he's kind of like, no, I'm in control. So like, I don't want things to be out of my control. So I think it's kind of his way of fighting to keep control over everything.
No,
because he even calls him like a little peon. You think he can get away from me? Like he sees himself as being like superior in the sense, and he doesn't want to be like outdone by somebody else.
Yeah, when he takes off after Chopper, that's a cool shot. He's like his like lower half is sand, and he's like floating, kind of like a ghost almost.
Yeah, that's really cool.
As he like takes off.
Very efficient way of traveling.
Yeah, pretty cool.
I think that looks really cool, like in the black and white. I think this is like one of those moments where like the black and white really plays into it. Like I think we saw that with like in Drum Kingdom, how like a lot of like the black and white played in the favor of the manga until they started like talking about how the snow was pink. But I think in this case here, like seeing like the sand looks really cool, like in the black and white and like with the shading and the shadows.
Yeah.
In these panels, I think it looks really cool.
Agreed.
Huh.
And like that scene where he appears behind Vivi, like it looks really
Yeah.
cool in that shot as well. And speaking of Vivi, she does pretty well this chapter to evade the Bananagator. I was impressed.
Yeah, she's holding her own.
I was like, yeah, kicking ass. Let's go.
Sanji with glasses is a surprisingly good look for him.
Yeah, why though? Why is he wearing glasses?
I don't.
You don't know what he looks like. He doesn't need to disguise. Maybe it's just when he's playing slot machines he wears the glasses.
I guess. All according to plan. Cling, cling, clank. He's going for the Clark Kent disguise.
Yeah.
Non-necessary disguise.
Yeah, that's really funny.
It's a restaurant. The crap dress code.
Yeah. All right, ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay, chapter 175, release. Chopper acts as a decoy to have Brokeworks chase after him, thinking he's Mr. Prince, as Sanji has Vivi lead him to their friends at the casino. Vivi is confused as she thought Sanji was shot, but he explains that he beat up the Brokeworks agents and forced one of them to make the false report to Crocodile. Then he had Chopper run away, announcing that he was Mr. Prince, so they would chase after him. Luckily, Chopper is able to change his size to avoid Crocodile from suspecting him. In the cage, the water continues to rise as they panic. Nami tries to get one of the Bananagators to break the cage, but the cage is too strong, causing the Bananagator to break his teeth. Usopp and Luffy are suspicious of Smoker, who has remained calm. He asks them what they know about Crocodile's plans and points out that Miss All Sunday has had a bounty on her head for 20 years. If they aren't stopped, the whole world could be at stake. Sanji makes a grand entrance as he returns with Vivi and defeats one of the Bananagators with one kick. Smoker is able to identify which Bananagator ate the key, based on its bellow, and tells Sanji to attack that one. After a wild goose chase, Crocodile returns with Miss All Sunday as they realize the rest of the crew they didn't account for must have come back to help, but he won't let any of them get away. Just in case, he had left them with a fake key anyway and had the real key with them. To his shock, the Straw Hats all managed to escape and left behind a knocked out Mr. 3.
My name is Mr. Prince. I'm finally helping out, just as you said, Evan.
Yeah.
All right. I don't think Sanji has ever looked this cool as he does in this chapter.
He's pretty stylish.
Because he's got a plan. His plan's working. He's confident, kicking ass. There's a really cool shot on the like 5th page of this chapter where he's like blowing out smoke and the light's catching his glasses and his hair's like falling in front of his face. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
shit, this guy is cool. And then, a few pages later, he's karate kicking a giant Bananagator in the stomach, and we get like a full like 2-page spread of him just like destroying this Bananagator.
Yeah,
with a bad manners kick course. And that's an epic 2-page panel. Yeah, I don't think Sanji's ever looked as cool as he does in this chapter.
I would agree. To me, this is like one of the highlights of Sanji as a character. Like, this is just like a really great moment for Sanji all around.
Yeah.
Like he looks cool and everything, but like the whole like outsmarting Crocodile and playing like the fake call to Crocodile to make him think that he was defeated or whatever. And just like having Crocodile chase out the chopper, like the whole thing is like really well done, and I feel like it really plays out in a way that really makes Sanji look really cool here.
Yeah, so awesome.
He even has like a code name, so just adding to like the coolness overall.
Yep. Yeah, pretty epic fight. And then I love the entire crew's reaction to, after we get that full page kick, we get a reaction of all of them seeing Sanji just like kicking some Bananagator ass. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Prince. Yeah.
And Smoker knowing which crocodile based off of the like growl. You said bellow.
Yeah.
Is that the technical term for a sound that a crocodile makes?
I just figured like sound he made.
Yeah.
I didn't put any like research into it. Like, what's the sound of
Joel
Wait a minute.
spent the entirety of the lab
I did do
week.
some crocodile research today. I'm forgetting it now. Group of crocodiles.
Well, these would technically be
gators. A group of crocodiles in water is called a float, and a group of crocodiles on land is called a basque. Fun fact. Now you know.
Yeah, speaking of float, actually, let me see. Yeah, so speaking of float, I'm gonna kind of spoil a future SPS question here. I'm not sure if Sean knows what I'm talking about, but we see Mr. 3 is floating on the water.
We do.
Mr. 3 is a Devil Fruit user, so he should not be able to float.
Oh, damn.
So Oda actually addresses this like in the future. It's an error. So he comes up with like a fake answer later. So like talk about the SPS things. Like he basically retcons it to say he was floating on a super floating wood that allowed him to do that.
What?
But you just can't see it. You can't see the wood he's floating on.
Of course.
That's funny.
It's like a fake answer to explain why he made the mistake.
Yeah.
But like in the anime, I think they actually add a table under him because they correct it in the anime because like they kind of get ahead of it. So
okay, nice,
interesting.
So yeah, just want to point out this is like a moment where this happens here.
I love the pure joy of Luffy going, Vivi, good job or good work, and then she just goes back, thanks. It's just so nice.
Yeah, so wholesome.
That's just so nice. I do love the temporary plan of trying to get the crocodile to open the cage by biting it open, but it just literally shatters all of its teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel bad.
Yeah. I mean, they are just bananas that,
And we get also more information again to add to Crocodile's like diabolicalness. He gave them a fake key, so even if they went over like all those obstacles that he laid out in front of them and they got the key, like it still wouldn't work.
Man, Captain Scumbag over here.
Yeah. But then we see at the end of the chapter they escape somehow. So whatever they did seems to have worked. But yeah, then they leave a note on Mr. 3, which is a nice touch.
Yeah, that's funny.
Signed by Mr. Prince.
And speaking of Mr. Prince, we get Chopper still has not figured out the art of peeking as he's spotted, and then he turns into like his little cute form, and it's, like petrified, like walking around in all the oversized clothing. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like it was like one of those I don't know what to do with my hands situations where he's just like walking like a zombie because he's got his hands out in front of him, like he doesn't know what to do with his hands.
Yeah, he's like sneaking by Crocodile like unnoticed, which is great.
Sneak. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
He's like shaking like visibly. I feel bad. But yeah, it does work to like the situation though, because when he tries to hide, he does get spotted because I mean he does have to play the decoy, so he really should be getting spotted here. So even though he's trying to hide, like he's basically like right in like their line of sight.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, so this is another great moment for Chopper.
Peeking skill makes him a good decoy. Easily spotted.
And also, we get this little tidbit from Smoker, who seems to recognize Miss All Sunday.
Mm.
So he seems worried about Miss All Sunday's involvement, not just Crocodile, but Miss All Sunday as well. So she's had a bounty on her head for 20 years. And Smoker thinks that this is actually something that could cause like serious trouble for like the entire world. So I mean that seems like a pretty big deal.
The biggest of deals.
So now things seem like to go beyond just this country. So there could be bigger stakes here.
Right.
Yeah, so just a little nugget to note there.
The wide world is upon us. But also, I guess I know we established the Mr. 3, he's not supposed to be floating, but the existence of his body, like there, I mean, at the very least, he wasn't completely swallowed whole, I guess. Or was he vomited out by the thing? Or is that the implication? Or he just...
We'll see in the next chapter.
Yeah, we get more in the next chapter.
We do get more in the next chapter. I'm establishing from a point of view of someone who is just reading that chapter.
Yeah. But that is a good point. Like, he wasn't fully digested here.
That is true.
One might argue he looks better than the last time we saw him.
He somehow does.
Got a little hydration there, soaking in the water.
Yeah, I do love the way like Crocodile comes in, he sees Mr. 3, he's like, what the? And then like we just see the key drop at the end.
Yeah. So
he's been outplayed. Also, in the SBS, we have them point out how one of the lizards wasn't carrying something. So we had mentioned this when we were going through the chapter.
Yep. Baroqueworks will fire him, of course.
Yeah, so it seems like the explanation is he's just running so that way he can kind of keep his job. He's not actually carrying anything.
That's hilarious.
All right, let's get Evan's summary for the next chapter.
All right, chapter 176, Rush. Sanji kicks the key containing Croc, causing it to yak up the large wax ball. Just when things couldn't get any weirder, a man hatches from the ball, and it's Mr. 3. Mr. 3 notices a key attached to the outside of his wax egg. When the Straw Hats demand that he hand it over, he instead throws it away. As Sanji goes to exact his revenge on Mr. 3, Usopp comes up with a brilliant idea to use Mr. 3's wax powers to create a duplicate key. With little encouragement from Sanji, Mr. 3 is able to open the cage. The crew is finally free. Now they just need to get past the multitude of Bananagators, which is no easy task. Oh wait, correction, which is an easy task for Luffy and Zoro, who make quick work of the Bananagators. In their haste, they cause some structural damage and the wall breaks, and the crew finds themselves in deep water. Fortunately, everyone makes it to the surface in one piece, including Smoker, who was saved by Zoro. Zoro points out it was nothing personal, simply Luffy's orders. Smoker lets him go as a token of his gratitude. Vivi instructs Nami to put on her perfume, which alerts Chopper of their location. Shortly thereafter, Chopper rolls up in the getaway vehicle. It's a giant crab! As the Straw Hats leave for the capital city by Crabback, Vivi is suddenly grabbed by Sir Crocodile's hook. Before he can reel her in, Luffy saves her, swapping places. He urges the team forward, saying, "I can handle this," as he's pulled into Crocodile's clutches. Dun dun!
Ooh, what a chapter.
What a chapter.
What a rush.
chapter.
What a rush. So yeah, we get the explanation for Mr. 3 here.
Yeah, he sums it all up pretty well. The hatching from the egg is just so weird looking.
I mean, right? I love how he goes off on this like little tirade before realizing that he's like in other people's presence, and it's like, oh my god, it's you guys.
He's like, I'm so smart, I'm so brilliant, like I survived this. It's all part of my plan.
But what's this? Stuck to my wax ball?
And I love his face when like he's drinking the water. He's like, yes, I'm alive. I thought I was gone for sure. He's just like drank up all the water desperately. That's a great face.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's very good. All right, good on Usopp for his memory of Mr. 3 literally making a key from his wax powers beforehand. I do love the just like checking creek. Not bad, Candlehead. Thanks. And then just an absolutely just devastating kick. Just turns his face into a pancake and just sends him flying across the room.
Which is funny because we don't see the beating that he gives Mr. 3 to convince him to use power. It just
we
cuts
just do the after
to
effect. Yeah.
Which I think comedically that just works like even better.
Yeah.
It's,
totally.
like, the whole way that plays out is just like so well done.
So well done.
We get another example of Usopp potentially also being a gum fruit user here, where Vivi stretches his nose to the point where his face looks like it is turning into like a candy wrapper. When she drags him out of the water, like it is just like, what the heck, dude? Like, how did she not just tear your face off? Like
Vivi, you can grab his hand, right? You don't have to grab his nose every time.
Come on, you don't have to. I know it.
This is not the first time we've seen Vivi use Usopp's nose as a handle.
Explicitly use his nose as a handle.
Yeah.
I also love the bond that's growing between Smoker and Luffy. Like, I feel like there's definitely some respect going back and forth between these two through this whole volume, which kind of culminates in this scene where he commands Soros to save him.
Yeah.
So that was a great scene.
I don't know if I quite call it respect, but I'd call it a surprise in a sense of like, this guy is not the traditional pirate asshole I'm used to dealing with, in the sense that he's just like, is this kid for real? Like, what is this? He's so weird. He's so determined. He's so like, all right, you know what? Screw it. Just go before I change my mind. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I like the bond. Like, I don't know, there's like definitely a relationship growing.
Yeah, it's something.
Yeah, it's still like, I think it shows their personalities, because Luffy is doing something uncharacteristic, like Sean was saying, for like a pirate. Like any other pirate would have just let Smoker die, whereas like Luffy showed like mercy. Like he was like, all right, let's save this guy too. We don't have to, but we will. And Smoker's kind of returned the favor, instead of like kind of like we saw with like Full Body and Django. Kind of return the favor here, right? So these relationships between like the like the Pirates and Marines. But like Smoker like has like this kind of like sense of like honor about him instead of like turning around and just capturing Luffy. He's like, all right, thanks for saving me, but you're going to jail. It's like, all right, I'll let you go this one time. Just return the favor. Now we're even. So yeah, I think that's a nice touch for both characters here.
Yeah.
And also for Zoro, because Zoro was following orders. So this shows kind of more of like Zoro's personality too. Because like Zoro didn't do it of his own compassion. Like Zoro would have let him drown. So kind of showing like how a typical pirate would have acted. But I think it's also cool seeing like Zoro was just like faithfully following Luffy's orders.
Even if he disagrees.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was great. The cell we get when we see like the whole team standing in front of Smoker, and Smoker's like, I'll let you get away this time. You know, like I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
A really cool cell. It's like that stark background again that Oda does to like, I don't know, just like frame these really cool scenes.
Yeah.
It's very cool. We also get to see probably the coolest getaway vehicle that's been used in this series so far. This giant leering crab. I love how they like bring up the leer. Who said it? I think it was like, was it Nami?
Oh yeah, Nami. But what's with the creepy leer?
What's with the creepy leer? Like, what's with this guy?
Oh, definitely Eyelash's friend.
Yeah. Hilarious. But they are not writing it for long before they are met with resistance.
Yeah, so this is pretty crazy because Luffy is now completely separated from the group.
Yep.
So it's just him and Crocodile now.
Oh boy.
And all Sunday.
Yeah. So he's not in a good position, but the rest of the crew hopefully can get out of here safely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all knew that it was going to come down between Luffy and Crocodile at some point. So
yeah,
I suppose we might as well happen now.
Yeah.
But like, in this way, it's like he doesn't even have like the support of his friends, so he's on his own at this point. So it's up to him.
Which makes me a little nervous because, like I said, how I kind of drew a lot of parallels between like Smoker's abilities and Crocodile's abilities.
Yeah.
And, like Luffy really struggles with Smoker's abilities. Which makes me think he might struggle a little bit with Crocodile's abilities as well, because they're kind of similar. Where they're able to like disembody themselves and kind of like form different like shapes and moves. Which doesn't lend well to his ability. You know, he's more of like a straight up brute force kind of fighter.
Yeah.
And his defense, he was able to use that balloon, the Gum Gum balloon, to break Smoker's hold earlier, but I don't know.
It seemed like a temporary solution.
Difficult matchup for Luffy.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because like we have seen Luffy specifically struggling against that type of power, and like you said, this is very similar to how Smoker's power would operate in that way. And yeah, Luffy does need something to punch. So if he's trying to hit somebody that can go intangible, like we saw like BB like hit Crocodile in the face and like he was totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Luffy does seem like he's going to be outmatched because of just by the Devil Fruit powers alone.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's a really interesting point.
And it's highlighted because I think like Luffy hasn't really had much difficulty until Smoker. Like I feel like Smoker is the first person where he's like, "Oh shit, I need to run." Like I don't have a good strategy against this Devil Fruit style.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting seeing how he handles Crocodile alone, especially without backup.
Right. But going back to Smoker, I do think it was funny here how his men show up and they're like, "What about Straw Hat? We just going to get away?" He's like, I'm tired." Like, yeah, yeah. And then he's like, "Yeah, but like, sir, what about like what will the brass think?" And it's like, then the look on Smoker's face, he just gives like this glare. He's like, "Do you think I care what the brass thinks?" And this guy's like, "No, sir." He runs away.
Do you think I give a shit?
So this is like I feel like the second time we've seen Smoker with that kind of attitude about not bowing down to like the people above him. He's been kind of doing what he thinks is best, and he kind of operates under his own kind of code. So I think it's interesting to see that from Smoker, and this is like the second time we've seen him specifically like kind of have that interaction. But like, he tells his subordinates to kind of like go deal with it, like you tell them that I said this, like. Yeah, so I think that's another great characterization for Smoker.
Yeah, I really like Smoker. I really like his character a lot.
Yeah.
And he's been around for a while now, and I don't know. I think that like his character has developed quite a bit. And even though he's kind of like Luffy's arch enemy right now, like arch enemy, I think that I find him to be a really likable character.
Yeah, agreed.
Which is contradictory, but I don't know. I'm enjoying that, like with the relationship between the two of them.
Yeah, especially considering that he's from the Navy, and like we've seen, like pretty much everybody else from the Navy has been unanimously like terrible people.
Yeah.
So it's good to see a version of a member from the Navy who seems to have like better qualities.
Yeah.
So he's not like going around like kicking little kids and everything like that. Like,
yeah, he seems to be respectable. Yeah, and just kind of like motivated and righteous kind of person.
Yeah. So any other thoughts on the chapter or the volume as a whole?
I mean, this is, like I said, it really feels like the Empire Strikes Back moment of the whole like arc in this area. It's just like the darkest hour. We got to get to the thing in time. Oh God, we keep running into problems. Oh wait, there's a moment of hope, but man, things still. Oh, then we're Luffy's yanked off the thing. Oh, like it is a roller coaster of emotions, and I mean the final chapter might as well be the name for almost the whole volume. Just rush.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to get things done. Oh God, everything's going wrong. Oh God, like no one has a moment to breathe.
Yeah. No, I thought this was I agree. I think this was a great volume. Like the stakes keep getting raised higher and higher, and like tensions keep growing. And it kind of culminates in this face off between what's going to be Luffy and Crocodile, which is like, I feel like what we've been waiting for so many volumes now. So I'm like really excited to hopefully be making, some progress there and get to see that showdown. Very excited about it.
Seems like we're building towards that, and the whole volume I feel like has been really doing a great job of building up this arc and the stakes. So that's why I'm really touched on like pretty much all the aspects of what the situation is in Alabasta. So we get like little pieces here of the kingdom. We get more introductions to the royal guard, Chaka and Pell. Then we get like more information about like Koza and how like he joined like the rebels, like what his motivations are with that. And then we have like the incident that happens at Nanohana, the port. So that's basically escalating everything with the rebel army side of things. So that's kind of happening. Like basically, it's gotten to the point where Luffy said that like we're not gonna be able to really help there, and that thing is kind of going on its own at this point. So the Straw Hats aren't gonna be able to really help out there. So that's just kind of like doing its own thing. The ball's been set into motion and it's just rolling. So then back with the Straw Hats, they were kind of trapped in a situation. Things seemed really dire. They did a really great job of building up Crocodile as a villain, what kind of villain he is, and he's more than just his powers. He's also he's a smart like schemer, and I think we talked about how that really plays into his strength here. He does feel like a Bond villain, but, like in the best ways.
Yeah.
And then we have like those great moments with Sanji as Mr. Prince and like all that, and these moments with Smoker. There's just a lot of really great stuff that happens in this volume, and I appreciate it in the way everything kind of plays out. There's some really strong stuff. I think that really sets Alabasta apart.
I agree 100%.
All right. So on that note, that will conclude this week's episode of the We Are Reading One Piece podcast. You can find this episode wherever podcasts are found at We Are Reading One Piece podcast.buzzsprout.com or on our YouTube channel at We Are Reading One Piece. This is a spoiler-free channel up to where we record the podcast, so if you're new to the series, you can visit the channel there. You can also find me and this podcast on my YouTube channel at Pirate King Codex for various One Piece content. Next week, we will be discussing Volume 20, Showdown at Albarna. I've been Joel, and I've been joined by Sean.
Hello, and goodbye.
And Evan.
Thanks for listening.
All right, thanks for coming aboard. Be sure to bring along all of your hopes and dreams, and we'll see you on the next episode.